Alright, hey guys, welcome to this session by Great Learning. My name is Anirudh Rao, and in this session, we are going to take a look at understanding Python step by step. Right, ladies and gentlemen? I hope all of you all are excited to understand and learn about Python in a really structured manner that will get you started with the language to go ahead, right? Fantastic. Now, guys, I want to make sure that everything on our side of the stream is perfect as well. Can you guys quickly head to the comment section, the chat box basically, and just put in a quick yes or a no message such that we understand if the session is fine for you in terms of if you can see us, and of course if you can hear us as well, right? Guys, head to the comment section and quickly give me a confirmation if everything is high. Now, on that note, guys, I'm monitoring all of your comments here using my mobile phone, right? So as soon as you guys put down a comment there, I'm going to be seeing these comments and answering all of these comments in real time as well, right? So any questions that you guys might have, right, regardless of how simple it is or anything on those sorts, do not worry, guys. Any questions you have that you want your doubts answered, head to the comment section and let's have a conversation, right? Fantastic. Now a lot of people are giving me yeses. Sukesh, Rabia, Deepak, Simran, Pratmesh, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Good afternoon here. It's a wonderful afternoon here in Bengaluru, and I hope you guys are as excited as me to take a look at understanding Python, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, to help add on to your knowledge more about Python, I want to take a minute of your time to guide you about this fantastic venture we have here at Great Learning called as Great Learning Academy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you all to head to the comment section and let me know if you guys have used Great Learning Academy's courses, right? Now, for all the people who don't know about Great Learning Academy, this is the one place to be for all you dear learners, because here you will have access to career paths, you will have access to free courses. Again, these free courses also come with free certificates of completion as well, right? There's a ton of things you guys can learn on Great Learning Academy for free, right? In fact, we have 1 million plus learners who join in from across the world. 160 plus countries join in, come to Great Learning Academy to learn as well, right? We provide 700 plus free courses, and of course at the same time we get 3 million monthly views on our learning content. Now, ladies and gentlemen, since we're trying to take a look at Python, I'll just head to the search box up here and just type in Python, right? I'll just type in Python, I'll hit enter. Now if you take a look at this, 1 2 3 4 5 courses are shown, but it says view 72 more, right? We almost have 80 different courses for all of you all just to get started with Python, ladies and gentlemen, and these courses again are completely free. Just to reaffirm to you guys, anyone can start up with these courses. These courses are even available, some of these courses, as you can see, is available in Hindi as well, right? Now this entire 1 hour session that we have planned for you guys, it's going to be in English. However, we do have a lot of people asking us for Hindi content as well, right? Now of course you can have a course completely in Hindi. You can learn a lot about Python programming, you can understand what it is that you learn, enroll into the course and go on to understand it as well, right? Now with this, you also might have a question saying, okay, so if I have to just look at Python, we have courses, but what if I want to become a data scientist, right? Now if you want to become a data scientist, you're going to require Python. You want to become a web developer, you'll require Python. You want to become a UI UX developer, you will require Python to one degree, right? Now in that particular case, let me quickly guide you with respect to a career path example that I have here. Now a structured way of how you guys can attack your favorite domains with Python, right? For example, this is all the numbers and the trends regarding how you guys can work on becoming data scientists. Of course, we have our fantastic, our flagship programs for you guys to make sure you get to your goals, and at the same time to get you started there. Can you see all these free courses that we have planned for you guys in order? Well, you guys can just head to this page, get started on it. If you guys want to take a look at web development for Python, of course we're gonna you're gonna have a discussion on that as well, but you can understand all Python for fundamentals. You can take a look at Python for machine learning, data visualization, probability, statistics, right? Now we're just talking about Python with respect to one domain. I understand that not every one of you all might be looking towards data science. Since you're looking at other domains, I suggest you quickly head to the Great Learning Academy page. When you guys are signed up to this, just make sure you typing in your favorite courses that you want to learn, hit enter, and for example, if you want to start out with Python for machine learning, guys, just get to that page, and on the right side you'll see a button that says enroll now. As soon as you click on this button, that is it, guys. You guys are enrolled, you can get started with it, and in fact at the end of it, you're gonna have a beautiful looking certificate of completion that looks like this, right? Now let me just quickly show you the certificate. Now as I told you, again, all of this is completely free, ladies and gentlemen, right from you reaching Great Learning Academy all the way to you finishing the course and taking home your certificate of completion, right? You can put this up everywhere that you want, be it on LinkedIn, be it on your resume. You can print it out and attach it as a hard copy with your CVs as well, right? And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you've clicked on this particular video to learn Python, I am sure you know the value that a certificate of completion can have on your profile, right? Now that's the reason why we're giving you so much so many courses and fantastic access, so that all of you all can get started with really high quality content absolutely free of cost, right? Superb, ladies and gentlemen. There's multiple places that you can multiple routes that you can take to reach Great Learning Academy. The easiest way is to just type in greatlearning.in/academy, and if you just scroll to the end of the session here, you can also understand all the other live sessions that we have planned for you guys. And at the same time, we understand that a lot of you guys tune in from your mobile phones, even your smart TVs and all of that, right? So regarding the presentation, we always make sure that we cater to everyone, be it in terms of you guys watching it on your computer, laptop or mobile phone. And talking about mobile phones, the Great Learning app is available for both the Android folk and of course the Apple folk as well, right? So it is super convenient for you guys to reach Great Learning Academy and get started with the domain of your choice and work towards expertise easily, right? Okay guys, fantastic. Now let's get back to our main agenda for today, because with this we're going to be learning a lot about Python. Now when I say a lot about Python, I know you guys are curious to say, okay, so what is it that we're learning about Python? Now before I quickly show you guys the agenda for this session, do take a second to subscribe to the Great Learning YouTube channel, right? Now I'll be talking to you throughout the video regarding the benefits of why you guys should subscribe, right? Rather than you subscribing just to add on a number, it will eventually showcase that you guys will have access to so much high quality structured education regarding multiple domains, right? All the domains here are taught by subject matter experts, and I'm sure you guys will benefit based on your favorite domain that you guys are working at, right? So take a second to hit that subscribe button, right? Thank you so much. And on that note, here's the agenda for today's session. Well, guys, we really have to start this session out by understanding why it is that you have to learn Python. Now, there are many other languages to learn. Why should you only pick up Python? Why not C++? Why not Java? Why not JavaScript? Right? Now, I am going to answer all of those questions in the first section, where we're going to be deciding why you guys have to learn Python. Once you understand why you have to learn Python, of course, next we're going to take a look at a step-by-step guide of how you guys can go from step number 1 all the way to step number 5 or 6, which will eventually help you get started with it and start writing your first piece of code using Python as well, right? We're going to be covering everything from you being a total beginner all the way to how you guys should be working on your job preparation regarding Python as well, right? So those 6 steps that we're going to cover are really important. Okay, fantastic. Now once you understand all these steps, you're going to require something to get started with the language itself, right? Now that is where we'll take a look at the popular libraries that we have for Python. Now in this particular case, we're going to be discussing some really fantastic libraries that led to the success of Python itself, right? Now that was a very bold statement to make, and of course we're going to be taking a look at all these important libraries, right? And once we understand the libraries, look at the last item on the agenda. The last item on the agenda says Python developer salary, right? Of course we're going to take a look at the Python developer salary. It is absolutely fantastic. Now for over a decade I've been working on Python. The absolute trends that I've been seeing for the last 10 years regarding Python itself, and how we're going to progress to the future in terms of having access to really good jobs and fantastic paying salaries, be it in India, be it in the USA or anywhere across the world. So we're going to be discussing all of this on this session for you guys, right? Fantastic, guys. Now I keep seeing all of your comments, guys, so make sure you guys are putting down all of your comments out there. Now how many of you all are tuned in from your mobile phones? For all you dear mobile viewers, head to the comment section and just type in a yes if you have tuned in from your mobile phone, right? Okay, fantastic. Now let's get started with a quick did you know. Right now, guys, you're basically watching this video on YouTube, right? YouTube is a streaming platform just like Netflix, just like Amazon Prime, but that's a different pay-per-view subscription based model. Did you know, in fact, how Python got its name? Python, even though it's a type of a snake, right? It's called a python. That's how I would at least spell that. Now this one is Python. This is spelled slightly differently but has the same spelling. Now the creator of Python, Guido van Rossum, he's a fantastic programmer. He actually named the show, he basically named the language based on his favorite TV show. Now the TV show was called as Monty's Flying Python Circus. That was the name of a fantastic stand-up comedy kind of a show way back in the 60s and the 70s, and this was used by the creator as an inspiration to pay tribute, right? Now look at the entire end circle. Python as a language was named based on a TV show. But today, every single TV show out there make use of Python in one way or another. You saw that entire circle from being named based on a TV show all the way to every single TV show on the planet making use of Python in one way or another, on a small way or on a big scale, is something absolutely good to know. Right, ladies and gentlemen? Fantastic. Now, it's also written there that Python is super popular for data science and it's used by thousands of companies across the globe. If you have clicked on this video, I am very confident that you already know everything there is to know about the last 3 points, right? Yes, data science is one of the biggest domains, the hardest domains to tackle in the entire world of information technology. But with Python, we can handle it with absolute ease, right? That is the magic of the language. And then, of course, it's used by thousands of companies. This should not come as a doubt to you guys because Python is used by millions and millions of developers across the globe. Whenever you ask someone saying, hey, which programming language should I start learning first? I will bet that at least 8 or 9 out of 10 people will tell you to start with Python. Right now, why is that the case? Now, to answer that particular question, we have this section where we'll take a look at why you guys should even consider learning Python. Right? Let's get started. Now, to tell you a little bit of a story about Python, you have to understand that this is a programming language. It was growing really slowly right from the 1970s all the way to today, and to a point where we have to already know that Java is the king of the programming languages, right? Before Python came about, there literally was no touching Java. Java was super powerful. It was very efficient at handling, and a ton of developers basically were using Java. But then Python slowly came up on the trend charts in a way where it has become the most searched programming language in today's world. Be it if you just go to Google and just type in Python, type in C++, type in Java, you will understand that most people around the world have searched for Python compared to any other programming language, right? So it is popular. Employers are searching for it, employees are searching for it, researchers are searching for it, students are searching for Python. So this is an entire round circle that you will have to understand. Right from beginners all the way to researchers and developers, everyone is ensuring at the same time that Python is growing alongside with them, right? This has to be the strongest point of why Python has become so popular. It is not that it has just been searched by more people. Now I can search for something very different, right? I can search for Nike shoes on the web. That doesn't mean Nike is the best shoes in the market. Right now they might be, I don't know, but just by searching we cannot be sure. But take a look at this graph that I have on your screen. This shows the interest over time based on Google Analytics of how people are searching for Python, right? You can see that from 2004 all the way to 2012ish, it was okay. People were having a plateaued interest. Not a lot of people were searching for it. But right from 2014, I still remember the time when Python exploded somewhere around this time, and from then on the graph is just going up and up and up. Of course, there's minor dips and downs because there's always a new framework coming in, and people are trying to see if Python is the best or if the new one is the best, right? But this entire graph that shows you this steep rise in the curve should be very attractive to you all, because if you start a career in Python knowing that it's a domain that's going to just keep going up and up and up, you have a very stable career, you have high paying jobs, and you have a fantastic programming language that is super easy to work with, right? If reason number 2 was not convincing enough for you, take a look at reason number 3. Reason number 3 talks about Python's wide support that we have. Now, as I just told you even at the start of this video, right, ladies and gentlemen, it so happens that Python can be used in any domain that you can think of. Now, you might be a person who's saying, hey, now I'm talking about medicine. Is Python used in medicine? Google it. Python is used in medicine. Right now, any domain which is not even connected to the world of information technology or Python is so intelligent and it will fit so well in any other domain that if you want to be a web developer, you have you have frameworks like Django, you have frameworks like Beautiful Soup, you have frameworks like Flask that you can use for web development in Python, right? These are getting super popular in the year 2021. And let's say that you don't have anything to do with web development and you want to become a big data expert, a big data analyst, or a big data engineer, right? Now, if you're working on those lines as well, Python is absolutely fantastic to work with big data. Now, handling a large amount of data is always seen as a difficult task for a programming language, but it is almost like Python was built for this purpose. You throw any amount of data that you want at Python, and if you know how to store it in a structured manner and use it, Python will be the most efficient programming language out there for the purpose of big data, right? You can already see the application of it in big data. Now, there's a fantastic part of the Apache Foundation called as Spark. Python has a part of Spark as well. It's called PySpark, and it can be worked on to work with distributed computing and a lot more, right? Now, let's just say you have nothing to do with big data. You want to become a person who wants to become a game developer, right? Now, I am a gamer. I do find myself playing a good amount of games, maybe over the weekend or something like that. But did you know that Python has libraries which will help you build fantastic games, right? Of course, Python is not completely built just for gaming. Python was built for something else, but you have to understand that Python also works really well, and game development with Python is really catching up with all the other 3D frameworks that we have out there, be it Unity or any other Unreal Engine or something like that, right? Yes, let's just say you're not a gamer also. You're a person who wants to look towards user interface and user experience development. UI UX development is again a completely different world all on its own, and there also Python has a really big say to say, right? Look, we just covered 4 different domains and we are not even done. Let's just say user interface is not for you. You're a data science person. Do I really have to talk about Python for data science? Ladies and gentlemen, data science is an ocean on its own, and with respect to Python, it's almost like a boat that is filled with unlimited fuel so that it can navigate around the ocean and go, right? That is Python in the world of data science. It's really huge, and just Python for data science will tell you that this domain is so powerful that it can handle anything that you throw at it, right? Be it beginner projects, intermediate projects, advanced projects. If you want to work on something, Python is a really good programming language to start with, because you eventually, once you start learning it and once you finish with the intermediate level of learning, you can take your direction anywhere and you can become an expert in all of those different domains, right? Now, let me give you more examples. First of all, Python is an interpreted programming language. For all of you all who doesn't know what an interpreted programming language means, it slightly works differently to a compiler based programming language like C or C++ as well. The second point should interest you all because it says it is easy to learn. Now, I definitely can tell you it is easy to learn because I have been recommending for the last 10 years as an expert, to tell people about which programming language they should start out with. I have handled conferences, I have handled large audience where people ask me, is Python really easy to learn? Python is absolutely easy to learn if you know how to go about learning the programming language, right? And of course, Python is a programming language that is built for dynamism. When I say dynamism, I'll give you an example. Today, you're working on a very small project, right? You might be, doing very simple print operations, arithmetic operations, and all, right? It is very easy to do it. But later, as and when you learn, your projects will become bigger. Your projects will become complex. But will that mean that working with Python will become difficult just because your project is more difficult? The answer to this is absolutely no. Regardless of your level of difficulty with respect to your project, Python will remain at its same. It will really be the easiest programming language you'll work with, be it a small project, be it a large project as well. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, Python is open source. When I say open source, it is free for the world to use. You really do not have to pay anyone to install Python and to work with it legally, right? If you want to download Python, it's free. You can get started with it, and that's one of the other reasons why it again became popular. If you had made it a paid product, not a lot of people would have been interested in it, right? It would have become a tiny programming language probably, but once it was made open source, again, thanks to the developer, right, Guido van Rossum, he's an absolute legend. We programmers look up to him a lot, and he made sure it was open source right from the start, right? Now, the other thing that you really have to take a look at is when you're learning Python, what are the advantages? First of all, you have to know that Python provides a lot of functions, Python provides a lot of frameworks, libraries, and everything. Why are all of these there? Well, all of these are present to make sure that you guys can actually get started, and it is like a helper, right? Of course, if you have helpers, eventually you can get the job done faster, right? In your home, in your office, or wherever it is. Similarly, Python has a ton of helpers as well in terms of software itself and in terms of the community. You will be starting a programming language that millions of people use around the world. Right now, of course, whenever you have any sort of doubts, the community is very welcoming. No one will ever say, haha, I won't answer that question because it's too basic. No, everyone is so helpful in the Python community that you guys will appreciate it as much as I do, right? And if you're taking a look at the last point, it says Python is a strongly typed programming language. A strongly typed programming language will mean that, for example, in C++, if you have to put a variable down, you'll have to say int a, float b, string c. You have to specify the data type manually and tell the programming language what it is. But no, you don't have to do this with Python because Python is super intelligent. With a strongly typed programming language, all you have to do is a equal to 10. A equal to 10.5. Python is intelligent enough to figure out what it is that you have given the input as, and it will automatically assign all that and do everything in the back end, and you don't have to worry about it, right? If it's one or two cases, it is simple. Now think about writing a program with thousands of lines where you have to probably take a look at thousands of variables as well. That will become a headache you cannot handle, and Python solves that by being a strongly typed programming language, right? Fantastic, guys. Now let's quickly cover a section to discuss about some of these skills. Now these are some of the skills that you will have to learn on your own, because at the end of the day there are so many skills that we can talk about, which of course you can probably learn from a textbook, you can watch a video and learn, but these are some of the things that you will actually go on to see yourself, the skills you will progress as in when you're working on these programming languages, right? Let's talk about the first point here. We're talking about a data science, we're talking about a data oriented approach. Now when I say data oriented approach, the skill I mean here is that whenever you guys are working with Python, you have to understand that sometimes you might be handling a large amount of data, but if you can easily handle that large amount of data and combine it with an easy to understand programming language, as soon as you bring it two together, of course you will have a lot of time to think about logic, right? And guys, I want to ask you a very important question here, and I want all of you all to head to the comment section and give me your answer on this, right? If I tell you, hey guys, is it difficult to write logic, or is it difficult to just write Python syntax, plain Python syntax? Which will you tell me? Which is more difficult? Which will take more skills and brain power? Is it just typing Python code, or is it figuring out the logic to solve the problem, right? Now, as soon as I see the comments, I'm pretty sure that all of you all will say, hey, logic building skills takes more effort. It takes more skills. Why is that the case, right? Now, of course, if you already start working on your logic building skills alongside working with the syntax, it's again the best of both worlds, and you guys will have a lot of advantages going ahead, right? Now, I do see one question from the person called Barish Ki Jaye, he or she, I'm so sorry, asked, is it compulsory to learn C or C++ before the Python programming language? Well, guys, you really don't have to learn any other programming language before starting with Python. If you guys have never touched a programming language, Python, I highly suggest you guys start with Python, because again, it's really easy. It's fundamentally built to make sure that you guys can even work on small projects and large projects as well, right? And look at the comment section, right? No one is saying syntax. Everyone says it is difficult to actually write logic, right? Now that is some skill that I want all of you all to work on, rather than me just saying the same skills that everyone else would probably tell you, saying, hey, start with this, do this, do this, do this. I want to make sure that you guys are also seeing the long term of you guys being developers, right? It is not just that we are helping you just get started, but if you guys stay till the end of the video, I will also make sure that you guys will have a structured working path wherein you guys can become thorough experts as well, right? So make sure you guys stick till the end of this particular session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to actually dive right into the heart of the topic, where you guys will be understanding how you can learn Python step by step. I have 6 very, very important steps for all of you all. So without further ado, let's just get started with it, right? So, to quickly talk to you about the first step that you guys have to follow, I highly suggest you guys take a look at understanding the fundamentals, guys. Now, be it Python or be it any other programming language. Now, guys, I have a person called Sai Manikanta. Please do not spam the comment section. I will answer your question. You've asked a question saying, I want to learn cyber. Can I learn this? Well, what do you mean by when you want to learn cyber, right? If you mean cyber security, yes, Python is also used for cyber security. But Sai Manikanta, to avoid being please make sure that you guys are not spamming the comment section, right? We will be answering the questions one by one. Okay, fantastic. So the first step, ladies and gentlemen, yes, is to start learning with the fundamentals. Now, when I say fundamentals, I'm not telling, hey, just start with all the basic stuff, start with the printf, start with the print statement and working along with that as well. The first step that you guys really should be focusing on is understanding how the Python programming language works. Now, Python is an object-oriented programming language, so you really have to make sure that you're taking a look at understanding how Python itself works. Once you know how Python works, it is really easy to use it later. But if you do not know how it works, if you do not know why it's a strongly typed language, if you do not know that it supports multiple inheritance, for example, that some other programming language like Java might not support. So once you have a clarity of what Python can do, what Python cannot do, and what it is that you are expecting the language to do, once you have a clear picture of this, you can literally work towards those particular domains. Now, even at step 1 itself, if you guys are very confident in saying, hey, now I want to become a data scientist and I'm learning Python just for that, step number 2 is going to be absolutely fantastic, because at step number 2 is where all of you all might take slightly different routes. Now, some of you all watching this might become web developers using Python. The others that are watching might be very interested in data science. Now, the others, again, very much into big data, data analysis, anything like that, right? Right at step number 2 itself, I suggest every one of you all to actually have a working understanding of where it is that you want to go. Make up your mind and stick to it, right? For example, a long time back itself, I was pretty confident that I am going to be getting into data science. So I made sure that right from the day I started learning Python itself, I aligned everything towards data science, right? Now that helped me a lot, by a huge margin, now that I take a look back at it and understand what I did. So for you guys as well, if you want to make sure, you have to keep it really structured, understand what domain that it is that you want to work on, and once you understand your domain, you don't have to become a data scientist, you don't have to become a web developer, you can just become a Python developer also, right? Now, if you just go to LinkedIn or go to indeed.com, they will show you jobs, which is again for a Python developer who can be working with multiple different libraries at the same time. So again, to talk to you more about that as well, you guys have to be curious, you have to be very careful to understand what domain you're working towards. And now that we are almost looking towards either the end of the pandemic or really positive trends in the near future, especially with Python, time is of the essence, right? You have to make sure you're using your time wisely, and that's the reason I say find your favorite domain, work towards that, and once you are very clear about Python in your particular domain, you will be curious to say, hey, okay, so Python is used for this, now let me start learning these libraries one by one, right? That would help you a lot, rather than learning all the things which you might never use in your domain. That is a very important step number 2, ladies and gentlemen. And once you clear step number 2, you all would have been taken different routes right now, but eventually you all will come to step number 3 together again, because at step number 3 you will be understanding data structures. Now guys, I know this is going to sound super funny, but have you guys ever seen a Python interview, or have you guys interviewed yourself, right? The first question, or something which is very very popular for any interview for any programming language, has to be data structures. The interviewer's favorite topic is to ask data structures, right? So even though you're learning, first step is to make sure you're learning the data structures to understand the language rather than clearing an interview. You have to be very careful about that. The second thing you really have to know is that data structures are literally everything in a programming language, right? Every single programming language you will work with has its own data structures. Python has lists, dictionaries, sets, tuples, and so much more. In fact, you can create your own functions, you can create your own data structures and work with it as well, right? When that is the case, you have to make sure at the end of the day that you know the importance of data structures and you're understanding data structures. Because if you are very much clear with respect to data structures at step number 3 right now in your learning, later, be it for higher learning, be it for you finding your favorite domain, or be it you attending interviews, all three of these situations you can easily clear out because you know everything there is to know about the data structures in the language, right? So guys, write this down or take a note of it. Note of it. Data structures are extremely important in any programming language, similarly in Python as well, right? Now, once you have learned the data structures, there's a very good chance after step number 3, before even you come to step number 4, you know how to write Python code. You know the basics of Python code, and eventually you can just probably write 1 or 2 small programs on your own, try to handle a little bit of data, try to see if you can do a bit of data analysis and work on Python programs. But what it is that you really have to look at, how do you improve, right? Being a Python programmer for the first couple of months or 1 year, if you concentrate with everything that you had, you'll eventually work on becoming an expert. But at the same time, how do you go on to use your expertise out there, or how do you go on to build on something that you've already learned? This is where step number 4 is very important, because in step number 4 we'll be discussing about how you guys will be venturing out into other domains as well, right? Now I understand this, you might be a data science person, but you're also looking towards a little bit towards web development as well, right? Well, understand web development to a little extent, find out all the libraries that Python provides for web development, try to see if you can implement 1 or 2, try to see if you can do something in the basic form as well, right? You don't have to become an expert in Python web development if you don't want to, but knowing that, hey, there's a library which will there's a library in Python which will ease so much of my work if I ever have to do something like that, having that understanding will help you a lot, not just as a learner, but eventually even after you land your first job as a Python developer, right? Even there, when you're training on the job or when you've actually started working using Python, this skill that you would have spent some time on is going to pay a lot of benefits at the end, guys. So make sure that you guys are taking it very structured, because even though the learning might remain constant throughout, the concepts will of course get difficult, right? It's not like the first day you're writing hello world and eventually 1 year later you're still writing hello world. No, the concepts will go on to become difficult, but if you have a structured way of learning, if you know how to navigate through the language and to push yourself every step of the way, you guys can become experts, right? Let no one else tell you otherwise, because once you complete step number 4, you will also have an understanding of not just your domain, your space, but everything else around that as well. Once you have a view like this, step number 5 will be very interesting, because right now at your stage in learning, you will not only want to learn, but you will also want to put yourself out there for the world to see, right? You want to showcase saying, hey, I am a Python developer and this is what I'm learning, or this is the project that I am doing in Python. That will attract a lot of interviews, that will attract a lot of really big eyes from all these big companies as well. One really good way that you guys can go on to do all of this is by taking up programming challenges. Now guys, we have 220 people watching this video. I want you guys to head to the comment section and tell me, have you heard of programming challenges website, maybe like Kaggle or any other coding site where you can force yourself, where you can eventually you'll be literally forcing yourself to actually upskill, because these challenges sometimes can be hard and you will find it super fun to actually work with respect to this, and even on the lines of competitive programming as well, right? So of course there are websites like Kaggle, and there's many other sites wherein you can find beginner level, intermediate level and advanced level projects. Again, some of these sites do it for free as well. You can pick up all of that and you can eventually get started with it, right? So to implement the logic is where it takes all the skill, and that eventually will come by practice. But also there are certain ways that you can use to learn on how you guys will be building the logic as well, right? Let me give you a very simple example. It might sound really stupid, but it's a very good example. Right now, let's just say I want to go to the ice cream shop and buy some ice cream for me to eat, right? The nearest ice cream shop is 100 meters away. Now I can take one route to go to the ice cream shop, but I can take another meaningless route to get to the same ice cream shop, right? I can go 5 kilometers in the different direction and come back and eventually still eat the same ice cream. Now if I want to go to an ice cream store which is 100 meters away, I can take a flight from Bangalore to Delhi, come back from Delhi to Bangalore, go directly to the ice cream shop and eat the ice cream. I told you it's going to sound a little bit stupid, but you really have to think about the different approaches that you can use to attack the problem, right? I can walk 100 meters straight, but if I don't know that the shop shop is at 100 meters, I can explore all these different routes. That is the exact skill you guys should be working on. You will know that, hey, I can solve this particular problem, right? What all the people do, the difference between a good programmer and a great programmer is exactly this. If you can solve a problem in one way, of course, you've solved the problem, you're a good programmer. If you want to become a great programmer, you have to understand how to solve the same problem using multiple different approaches, right? Knowing that one problem can have multiple solutions, and if you can attack the same problem from multiple different directions and solve it, trust me, you can land any job that you want at any company that you want who's offering a Python developer's role. Because everyone these days, if you're taking a look at the trend, just want to make sure that the person is skilled enough to learn Python. Now, a lot of you all might be saying in the comment section, saying, do we have to learn C? Do we have to learn C++? Do I have to come from a technical background to learn Python? Well, the answer to all of these questions is no. Even though you might be coming from a digital marketing background, you might be coming from something which is super non-technical. You might be an artist, you might be a painter. Now that you really want to take a look at Python, if you actually take it really slow and follow along these steps religiously, well, you guys can crack this language as well, right? It's an easy one to understand, but don't let the easiness fool you, because it's a very, very powerful language, and with programming challenges such as this, you guys can push yourself, right? Because once you finish the first 5 steps, you'll be at a point in your learning or in your career where you'll start preparing for your job. Once you know the programming language, once you have worked on the programming language, the next thing, of course, might be that some of you all will be looking for jobs in your favorite domains or as a Python developer, right? In that case, what do? Well, step number 6 is the last step, where you'll be working on your interviews, where you'll be working on learning more and innovating something, right? If you guys have Python developer friends, ladies and gentlemen, you can talk to them, and I'm pretty sure each and every one of them has positive things to say about Python, not just for learning, but when you're using it as a job, right? It's two very different things. You learning Python maybe in your college or in your school versus you learning Python to work on a product, to work for a client, or work on a really big project, right? It's very different. But both of these cases only talk about the positives and the amazing things you can go about doing with the language, right? So at step number 6, make sure you guys are preparing well for your interviews. Data structures are something that every Python interview will have. Understand all the tricky questions. Try to find more than one solution to a problem, in a way where if your interviewer asks a question saying, hey, can you please solve this particular problem, you have to say an answer saying, hey, I can solve this in 3 different ways, which one do you want? With that level of confidence and with that level of proficiency, trust me, I have taken hundreds of interviews of Python candidates, and whenever there have been situations where I find people using multiple approaches to attack a problem, these guys have done absolutely fantastically in their career, because they know the essence of the language, and they know if they attack something like this, it is pretty wild, right? So for all of you all, guys, make sure you're working on all of these different things. Now, with that, I'm very sure you guys will also have some questions as well, right? Now, let me pick up some of your questions and answer them. Okay, now in the comment section, guys, I know some of you all are trying to learn Python. Since all of you are learning to learn Python, the first thing that you have to understand is that, guys, let me reiterate this. You will not require any other programming language to learn Python. Now, some people are saying, hey, you just take C or learn C++ or something like that. I wouldn't say no to that. That's also a good approach. If you have the time and if you want to learn the language such as C or C++, which is, again, to tell you, C or C++ are really, really, really powerful languages. C or C++, even though they are very old programming languages, you will be surprised to understand that everything, right from your mobile phone, right from your laptop, your computer, your operating system, even any other smart device that might sit and control your house, might be using a code which is written in C, C++, or something like C#, right? So these architectures are very, very important. They're very powerful languages, but it doesn't mean that you have to learn all of that to get started with Python. If you do not know a word of programming, programming, start with Python, and at the end of it, you still can become an expert without knowing any other programming language as well, right? Fantastic, guys. Now let me quickly get a gulp of water so that I can go on to talk to you about some really important Python libraries. Right now, there's a very important thing I want to talk to you guys here about. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just come back to you guys. Okay, fantastic, guys. I have one more comment that I'll answer just before talking about this particular section. Sheetal asks a question, Sir, I want to become a software engineer. Can I learn Python for that? Well, Sheetal, you've clicked on the right video to get your question answered, because right now we were just discussing about how you guys can actually go on to become experts even without you guys having any experiences with anything else, right? So yes, if you are working towards becoming a software engineer, you will definitely have a fantastic career. Right now, I'm not just saying these things. If you head to linkedin.com, if you head to indeed.com or any other favorite job sites, just type Python developer and search for the number of job openings there. It will surprise you because there's fantastic options for you guys to choose from. Right now, Python has become so wildly popular wherein if you meet 10 programmers, at least 5 or 6 of them will know Python. Right now, why is the case where it has become so popular is something not a lot of people talk to you about, but let me tell you the answer to that. We of course discussed to a very good extent, to 20-minute extent, that I guided you regarding why Python is so popular. I'm sure you understand it at this moment of time. Here is one more reason. Python provides these wonderful packages that will just shorten your code, that will help you every step of the way to solve the problem, right? So these helpers, these functions, these packages, these libraries, these frameworks, whatever it is, Python has a ton of them. It has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of libraries, and of course thousands of different functions, where each function will help you save a ton of time. Right now, when that is the case, when you're working on really big projects, think about it, right? Why would you not want to make your job a little more exciting and a little less mundane, right? Of course, you would want to do that. Here are some of the libraries that eventually brought out the entire success to these programming languages, right? Well, firstly, we have two fantastic libraries for you guys. It's NumPy and Pandas. Now, NumPy and Pandas are very popular for data science, but it doesn't mean that these are the libraries that's only used for data science. As a general Python programmer, as a generic programmer who just wants to understand which domain you want to learn, or you just want to work with it, you will also require NumPy and Pandas. NumPy stands for numerical Python, and Pandas is a fantastic library which will provide you more data structures to handle really complex stuff. For data science, it would have been extremely difficult if we did not have any of these libraries that we are discussing, right? Of course, there's many other packages as well, right? Now, since the world is using Python a lot to move towards deep learning, to move towards machine learning, to move towards artificial intelligence, these are the ones that are domains that are being heavily researched, right? Python again provides packages where you guys can do all of this really easily. TensorFlow is a fantastic package to work with neural networks. TensorFlow is from the team at Google, right? And then of course you have PyTorch. PyTorch is another wonderful deep learning package that's out there, which is from the people at Facebook, right? Facebook had its own programming language called Torch, and eventually they realized having Python will enhance the workability with respect to Torch. That's the reason another programming language was created. It's called PyTorch. It's a framework basically, right? So be it from Google, be it from Facebook, and of course the fantastic scikit-learn library. Scikit-learn is at the heart of machine learning, right? If it weren't for these for the library scikit-learn, I think every single machine learning program in the entire world today, which would have been so lengthy that not a lot of people would even be interested to take a look at it, right? Just like how we were little kids, and when we got a really complex math problem, if we did not understand the concepts, we hated maths, right? That's what would have happened to Python if it weren't for these libraries. Something which is very difficult to tackle, you'll probably try 3-4 times. The fifth time you'll be like, meh, chuck it, I want to do something else, right? To avoid all of that, Python will give you a function, it will give you support every step of the way from you writing that first line of code, right? So that is something which is super interesting that you guys have to understand about as well. Now, it's not just deep learning, it's not just data science. You have to understand that Python is sometimes used for business intelligence, it is used for data analysis as well, right? Data analysis is a concept that will work in any domain in the entire world. If you want to analyze something, eventually you have a chocolate business, you want to analyze sales, you can do it. You are a person who is selling shoes, you want to analyze something, do it. You can analyze a million things with each of these components or concepts, right? That is the reason why you have two beautiful libraries called as matplotlib and seaborn. You have so many libraries, and these libraries will help you with data visualization. Sometimes it so happens that if you just see a lot of numbers on your screen, if you just see a workbook, it can get really confusing. But if you take all of that meaningful data, really meaningful but large amount of data, and eventually you compress it to maybe one image, one graph, which will tell you everything you need to know about the result or everything you need to know about what solves the problem, why would you not want to do it, right? If you can teach something in an easier fashion, do it. If you can tell somebody, hey, this is what I did, this is the problem that I solved, I used Python for this, here's a graph that shows why the company's sales were bad in the last month, done, right? It's as easy as that, ladies and gentlemen. So it's pretty it's pretty important that you guys really take a look at the packages, because the entire success of the programming language itself came from all these developers who are putting their efforts together. Right now, all the libraries that I just showed you, all of these are open source. You don't have to pay anyone to use NumPy, you don't have to pay anyone to use PyTorch, you don't have to pay anyone to use Seaborn. That doesn't mean that it's free, it's not that great. Absolutely no. Even though it's open source, you have to understand that there's brilliant minds, thousands and thousands of minds around the world that is constantly working on these packages to develop them for free, so that you guys can go on to use and learn and eventually have a really high paying career, just because these developers took their time out to give us these beautiful packages, right? So my heart goes out to all of these developers, because I am absolutely in love with Python programming language right from the day I started with the programming language. Of course, I've learned other languages and I eventually had to jump, so that part was a little easier to me. But not to talk about the past, to talk about your future, ladies and gentlemen, you will have fantastic access to superb salaries as a Python developer, right? Take a look at the salary numbers that is present on your screen right now. These jobs are really high paying. You will start out your career as an associate Python developer, a junior Python developer, or something like that, and eventually in India you can just start out with a fantastic salary of somewhere around 6 to 10 lakhs per annum, and in the US it's somewhere around $66,000 to $80,000, right? And with 1 or 2 years of experience, once you're really skilled with Python, you can have a jump to somewhere around 10 to 12 lakhs per annum in India and somewhere around $100,000 in the USA. And if that's not enough, with another 5 or 6 years of experience, you can literally take your package all the way up to 20-25 lakhs, and in the US it's somewhere around $120,000 to $150,000 as a lead project developer, right? Now you might be a person who's saying, hey, I'm seeing all the jobs out there, but they're only paying 3 lakhs per annum. Which are these jobs that are paying 6, 7, 8, 9? Right? Well, this is where your skills will come into the picture. As I told you, if you can solve the problem in more than one ways, you will impress an interviewer, even at a very big company, a Fortune 500 company, where interviews are considered to be a little difficult, right? Because they know they want really skilled people. If you show that you have these skills, and you also have to understand that this is not one fixed number. This is a number that came from all the lowest salaries and the highest salaries as well, right? So this is basically a number which is an average. And if you're talking about an average, you also have to understand average consists of really high salaries as well, right? And you might have friends, you might see juniors, seniors starting out with fantastic salaries, 10, 12 lakhs per annum as a Python developer, and it's pretty common out there, right? Why do you think that is the case, right? Python is a fantastic programming language that will give you access to all of these guys. Now, you also have to talk about the current pandemic situation, right? Everyone is wondering about, say, hey, so I am in India, why should I even understand about what's going on in Python salary for USA? No, let me tell you this. Everyone right now is working from home, learning from home, right? Home has become the new workplace. In fact, I am sitting at my home right now teaching you guys about this. So, what that means is that everywhere around the globe, the companies are opening up their jobs to literally every person around the world. Now, I'm not saying that every company is doing this, but there are tons of companies who say, okay, now that everyone is remote working, we don't mind if you work from another part of the world. Unless you actually sit and solve the problem with us, that's all that we need, right? So you can sit and right now, if you guys start learning Python now, maybe in 6 months or 1 year from now, I'm not sure how the pandemic will go on, but at the end of it, you will be ready to attack jobs not just in your country from wherever you guys are watching from, but you will also have the capability to attack jobs everywhere around the globe, right? I can sit here and apply for a job that is in the US. Now I can do that because it might be a remote working job. I can sit at home and I can still work for a company there where previously it would have not been possible, right? If it weren't for the pandemic. So there are slight good things coming out of the pandemic, but of course the destruction is a lot more than that. So ladies and gentlemen, right now is the absolute fantastic time for you all to have access to these fantastic salaries, but make sure you guys start your learning. You guys can definitely head over to Great Learning Academy and you can get started, right? Now, the most important question I always get asked, usually around the end of the session, is saying, hey, Anirudh, okay, fantastic, we learned everything, whatever is being taught in this session, but where can we go ahead after learning all of these, right? Well, to tell you something about learning ahead, learning further, learning Python, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to tell you is that it can get really overwhelming for a beginner, right? Now, as I saw in the comment section itself, some of you all who might have never worked on a programming language can be confused about where to start, how to start and all of that. If you simply go to Google and type learn Python, right? If you just do that, you will find millions and millions of articles by the time you even heard that sound. Now, when that is the case, how will you know where to start? How will you know what to start? It is literally like you being helicoptered into the middle of an ocean and you're being dropped into the water and say, hey, swim. Right? You cannot swim an ocean. It's not humanly possible. Now, to help you about, again, you will have to take a structured path. Now, if you're trekking somewhere in the forest, if you have a map, you can trek easily. If you don't have a map or if you don't know the way, you'll get lost, right? Similarly, as a learner, this will happen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not very careful. So have a structured way, of actually working with the programming language and learning it. Once you plan saying, hey, this month, this is all I want to learn. Next month, I want to work on these expertise. Maybe next week I want to start looking towards another domain. Now I want to go to Kaggle and start working on projects. If you plan like this and eventually stick to your plan and improvise your plan as and when you go, this structured learning is going to help you a ton, guys. Now I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where you have learned something in college, but the exact same job that you might apply for will have to retrain you on it and teach you something else, and probably it's like you learning the same thing twice. In college also you have learned Python, you're applying for a Python developer's role, you got the job, and eventually you're expected to retrain or something, right? So there's a difference there's a gap that exists between what you might be being taught in college versus what is exactly required in the industry. Now, as I told you all, the advantage of you guys subscribing to the Great Learning YouTube channel is that all experts here, right, all the subject matter experts we have here in all the domains will make sure to bridge this gap that exists in between what is required by the companies versus what you might learn via traditional learning methodologies, right? Bridging this gap will save a ton of time. In fact, it'll save double of your time just because of the fact that you might have learned it in a structured manner, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the important reasons why I keep asking you guys to subscribe, right? Now, I have a question from Anring. Here she asks, will you teach Python full course? Well, Anring, of course, why not, right? So all of you all will be are requesting so many different courses, and every single one is being noted by our team right now. So make sure you're subscribed so that as soon as we put out these new content, you guys will be the first ones to have access to it, right? Fantastic. With that, I get another question saying, okay, so if I'm using Great Learning to go about learning all of these concepts, do I find free content to learn? Well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Great Learning Academy is built so that all of you all have access to education, access to really good high quality education for free, right? Now, make sure you guys take a look at Great Learning Academy, enroll yourself into any number of courses you want. All of those are free. You can get started, you can learn, and you eventually, work on your dreams as well, right? And of course, the Great Learning YouTube channel. Now, as you guys would have seen, we put out a lot of videos across a lot of domains to make sure that we bring you the highest quality of content, right? There would be no compromises in any terms of quality in any of our videos. That is very, very important for you as a learner, because you'll be spending a good amount of time learning with these content as well, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if that is not enough, you guys can have access to blogs also. Now, sometimes when I myself am learning, I usually try to see if there is a blog to learn, because I love reading blogs as much as I love creating videos or teaching you guys on live sessions as well, right? Now, if you guys want to do that, Great Learning has blogs as well, right? Fantastic. Now, Arvind has a question saying, what is the difference between Tableau and Power BI? Well, Arvind, that's an entirely different discussion, because Tableau and Power BI are both business intelligence solutions which will help you as an end result for data analysis, right? So those are different tools that you'll have to learn, and it is slightly different from Python. I hope that answers your question, right? Shivam Sharma says, what should our daily plan as a Python beginner be? Well, that's a fantastic question, Shivam. If you've tuned in a little later in the session, I have actually covered 6 steps that you guys can go on to use. But as a beginner, your daily plan should involve a good amount of theory. Make sure you're learning the theory first, but don't stop there. Again, just give yourself examinations in a way where it is not just theory that you'll use, but you will use the learning from the theory to solve practical examples. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a programming language. You cannot just read and learn theory and become an expert. You have to start writing programs, and if you are learning, the way you learn the theory is easy, it's fun, and you're loving it, you will have so much fun working with it practically, right? You will be surprised at what we can do with so little code in Python. For example, if there's a machine learning application for people who have never seen machine learning code, you might think that, hey, it is so complex, there's 150, 200 lines. Now, I can build a fantastic recommendation system, or I can build a fantastic predictor, a supervised learning model using 20 lines of code, and it is going to be a very powerful algorithm which will solve the problem for you, right? So Python code, you will write a lot less and the output is a lot bigger. There you have one more reason of why you guys should consider learning Python, right? Jograj Kumbur says, will this course continue and it's going to be a full course? Well, Jograj, this is a 1-hour live session that you have tuned in. We have multiple full courses on Python on our channel itself. So if you quickly search for Python tutorial or Python full course on our Great Learning channel, you will find multiple videos, right? And for all of you all who might be inclined towards learning data science, I have a full course on data science here at Great Learning as well. It's again found on the channel. You guys can get started with all of that. Now, quickly coming on to the last thing that I want to discuss with you guys is that all the free content in the world will definitely help you get started with the with the programming language and take you to an intermediary level as well. But if you guys are very much interested to not just learn Python for the sake of it, but if you want to be very serious, you want to have your career around it, and you want to become an expert in it, I highly suggest you work towards specializations, right? Now, specialization in Python is going to be slightly different, because as I told you in step number 2 itself, right, you have to find your favorite domain and you have to eventually tackle that domain. Now, for a specialization example, let me just showcase to you guys, since a lot of you all told me that you guys are into data science, I'll just click on the career transformation programs we have here at Great Learning, and I'll just showcase one simple program here, the PG program. This is a comprehensively put together program that is considered as the India's #1 course for data science and business analytics. So if you're a person who wants to use Python for data science, this course, which is made in collaboration with the University of Texas at Austin, is going to give you thorough insights of how you guys can become experts, right? Since this is a post-graduation program, since it's built to take you from being complete beginners all the way to being thorough experts, of course guys, this is a paid program and you're going to find a ton of advantages for the amount that you guys will be paying, right? You'll be getting 2 certificates, first of all, one from University of Texas at Austin and another one at Great Lakes Executing. You can find all the details about the entire curriculum as out there as well, right? Now, as I told you, there's multiple different domains that you can take a look at, multiple projects you'll be working on, certificates as well. And it's not just that, you'll also be working on capstone projects. These are industry level projects which you'll showcase on your resume and tell the world saying, hey, I have worked on these problems and I have solved them, right? And of course, all these courses you will be taught by faculties and mentors who are thorough leaders in their own domains, right? So these are the top practitioners in their domains. You can see we have some of the most fantastic faculty members and mentors who will guide you every step of the way so that you guys can become experts, right? You can find out a ton about the Great Learning Advantage. You can find out how you'll have dedicated career support in terms of access to relevant jobs from 350 plus companies, career fairs, interview preparation, personalized mentorship that will help you also land a job, right? There's many advantages you'll get if you pick up a program here at Great Learning, guys. Now I can talk to you more and more about this, but what I want you guys to do, I'm sure someone in the someone handling this chat, our expert, will be giving you a link to this particular course as well. At the end of this particular course, there's a place wherein you guys can put down your name, email, mobile and work experience with us so that we can have our own experts talk to you and guide you for free, right? So guys, put in your name, put in your email address, put in your number here, and if you're a student or someone who just graduated who has 0 years of experience, you can select that option as well, right? Look at this, college student, 0 years, maybe you have 6 months of experience, so you would select less than 1 year of experience, right? Now what I want all of you all to do is just put down your name, email address, mobile number and hit submit. We will make sure that there is an expert from the admissions office who will give you a call, and with this person you can ask any sort of questions regarding where you want to go in your career, right? I am sure you will have a dream saying, hey, I want to become a data scientist or I want to become a web developer working for this company. Now our expert team is put into place to make sure that they can guide you about which course, which PG program, which post-graduation program here or specialization course here at Great Learning that you guys have to pick up that will eventually help you completely get towards your goal, right? Now that is again another kind of advantage and support we are providing for free as well. You can talk to our experts, ask them any sort of questions, and eventually you guys can go on to discuss with the admission team as well, right? Now someone in the comment section said, sir, sir, price to kam karo, Indians hai. Well, now that's a very bad comment, Narendra. Come on. At the same time, you have to understand, guys, that this is an amount that you'll be paying not just for a couple of videos or a 15-day course. This is a 11 or a 12-month program. So you'll be learning Python, learning data science or whatever it is for one entire year, and you will have live sessions. You'll have personalized weekly mentorships from these thorough experts in the domain. You'll have access to workshops, 1:1 mentorship, access to jobs, access to doubt clearing sessions with the industry level experts as well. You will have multiple, in fact 17 real world projects that you will be working on and eventually being guided by the experts as well, right? Well, again, as I told you, you can find multiple content from multiple places to go on to learn, but I would suggest something like this, because we here at Great Learning, regardless of our free products, of course our flagship products, we make sure that we are providing the highest quality of learning content possible from our side for all you dear learners to learn, right? Well, fantastic guys. On that note, you have come to the end of this video. I hope this 1 hour live session that we had thoroughly helps all of you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, do take a second to subscribe. And of course guys, if you loved everything you saw on your screen, I would highly appreciate it if you take a second to like the video as well, right? Now we're gonna have multiple sessions such as this, and as always, you guys are highly energetic, highly enthusiastic, and I love teaching all of you all, right? So it's an absolute pleasure to be guiding you all towards a wonderful programming language that like Python, and I hope that all of you all who are watching this video can also become experts in the programming language, right? I have confidence in you guys, so make sure you guys are putting in the work, and it would be my pleasure to welcome you all into this wonderful Python developer community that we have, right? Well guys, on that note, you've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Anirudh Rao, and I'll see you on the next one. until then, make sure you guys are wearing your masks, getting your vaccine shots, and staying safe from the pandemic, right? Superb, guys. Thank you so much. Have